Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Kaduna State government confirms abduction of 8 students along with other citizens. PDP calls for removal of INEC rec ahead of supplementary election. On the foreign scene, Donald Trump pleads not guilty to 34 criminal counts stemming from hush money paid to porn star before 2016 election. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Okpayemuni. The Kaduna State government has confirmed that only 8 students were abducted along with other citizens when bandits stormed the Kashia local government area of the state. On Monday, gunmen whisked away 10 victims from Government Day Secondary School in Awon Kashia local government area of Kaduna State. The abduction is the latest onslaught launched by gunmen that have wreaked havoc in the northwestern state despite the efforts of the state government to security agencies. But the state government in its update said it received detailed reports from security agencies on the incident, adding that the students were not kidnapped within the school premises. According to a statement by the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arwan, the students were on their way home from school when they met the bandits who had abducted other residents. He also disclosed that the management of the school has submitted the names and classes of the kidnapped students. To politics, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to remove Udu Ari as the Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner ahead of the supplementary election. On March 20th, the Electoral Commission declared the governorship election in the state as inconclusive and had fixed April 15th for the supplementary election in the state. In a statement yesterday, spokesperson of PDP, Debo Olugwangba, accused the INEC rec of being partisan and taking sides with the All Progressives Congress, APC. The party said INEC is stoking a breakdown of law and order in the state, with Ari's continued stay in the office as Adamawa rec. Olugwangba said there were allegations that the INEC rec also gave similar instructions to electoral officers in some other local government areas to manipulate results. The Rivers State People's Democratic Party supporters continued their protest by adopting fetish materials in front of the Independent National Electoral Commission Port Harcourt office in their demands to see the electoral materials used for the March 18th governorship election that was held in the state. It would be recalled that the PDP protest began on Monday and turned violent when the governorship candidate of the APC, Toye Cole, and some members of the party executive arrived at the GRA junction to proceed to the INEC office just a few meters away along Aba Road in Port Harcourt. Cole had insisted that he and his team would visit the INEC office on Tuesday to continue their demand. The protest, which had since been led by the Deputy Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Edison Eye, and the Kuri Local Government Area Chairman, was joined by more lawmakers yesterday, including the 32-member House Leader, Martins Amawule. The protesters later presented an acknowledged copy of a PDP's petition dated March 24th, 2023, in which the ruling party demanded that the INEC release certified true copies of electoral materials.
Yes, now I have my hair about you. I report it, I must say, because I don't hold on up. It's never a buy. Thank you, I won't be without my own. We must say, oh, I want our own calamari. No supply. I must say, what do what I'm going to use there? What I'm going to use there? You started a new one and in bed, but I'm not going to write it. I'm just really free. I want to put it on the job. Oh, yeah.
government has said that the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and his running mate Dati Baba Ahmed risks being prosecuted for treason over some of their utterances on the February 25th presidential election. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who gave the warning in Washington, United States, said Obi and Baba Ahmed's statements amounted to insurrection. He added that Obi and his running mate were inciting people to violence over the outcome of the poll. But the LP candidate and the People's Democratic Party refuted the allegations, describing them as reckless. The PDP and the Labour Party want the FG against toying with the idea of arresting the ex-governor of Anambra State. Since the All Progressives Congress candidate Asiwaju Bola Tinubu was declared as president-elect, the Labour Party candidate and his running mate have been faulting the electoral process. Despite filing petitions challenging the election result at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, Obi and Baba Ahmed have insisted on the cancellation of the poll, which they claimed was characterized by rigging and violence. In Benue State, Governor Samuel Ortom says he is undeterred in his advocacy for equity, justice, and fairness, despite losing his senatorial bid in the February 25th Presidential and National Assembly elections. According to a statement yesterday by his Chief Press Secretary, Nathaniel Ikur, the governor spoke yesterday while commissioning government secondary school in Gokana local government area. Ortom is a member of a G5, a group of 5 aggrieved People's Democratic Party governors, including Nyesom Wike of Rivers, Seyi Makinde of Oyo, Okeze Ikpeazu of Abia, and Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu State, who refused to campaign for their party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. The governor also commended the people of Rivers State for standing with Wike and supporting him in all his aspirations, describing him as a great Nigerian. Elsewhere, a group of youths under the aegis of Yoruba Afenifere Youths Organization of Nigeria have passed a vote of no confidence on Pa Ayo Adebanjo, the leader of the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Political Organization, Afenifere. The group advised Adebanjo to step down as the acting leader of Afenifere in the interest of the organization and the entire Yoruba race. They made the call at a press conference held in Lagos yesterday after a joint session of Afenifere youth national leaders in Yoruba land, including Kogi and Kwara states. In a communique, the group condemned the suspension of 2 national officers of Afenifere by Adebanjo, adding that it was done without the approval of the leader of the group, Ruben Fashion. According to the group, Afenifere has been derailing since Adebanjo became acting leader because he allegedly abandoned the uncompromising pursuit and defense of the interest of the Yoruba people. Reacting, Adebanjo said it was not in the youth's right to ask him to step down, adding that he has been fighting for Yoruba interest before their grandfathers were born. In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the Executive Vice Chairman of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Naseni Mohammed Haruna, to immediately hand over his office to the next most senior officer in the establishment. The Office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation disclosed this in a statement yesterday by its Director of Information, Willie Bassey. According to Bassey, this follows the reversal of the extension in office granted by the President from April 2nd, 2023 to April 2nd, 2025, due to the fact that the Executive Vice Chairman had completed 2 tenures of 5 years each in the organization. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has reacted to claims, especially on social media, that it was responsible for leaking the audio of a telephone conversation between the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the founder of the Living Faith Church Worldwide, aka Winners Chapel, Bishop David Oyedepo. The NCC Director of Public Affairs, Ruben Moka, in a statement today, distanced the Commission from the leaked audio, saying it was bound by the Nigerian Communications Act 2003 and cannot track nor leak telephone conversations to anyone. The NCC said it had been overwhelmed with inquiries by the media and was issuing the statement to set the record straight. The Commission noted that it had reported the allegations to the relevant security agencies for proper investigation and necessary action. In the audio clip, which went viral on Saturday, Mr. Obi was heard asking Bishop Oyedepo to help spread his message to Christians in the southwest and parts of north central. Also, Bishop Oyedepo said on Sunday that he never campaigned for any politician or spoke on their behalf in the build-up to the general elections. Moving on, the federal government has directed all ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, implementing increases in salaries, allowances, and fringe benefits without its approval to desist from such acts. Chairman of National Salaries, Income, and Wages Commission, Ekpo Nta, issued the warning at a two-day training workshop for salary inspectors in Abuja. Speaking at the conference, Nta said the commission, over the years through salary inspection programs, discovered that some agencies were implementing unapproved salaries, allowances, and fringe benefits. The NSIWC chairman said it was on this premise that the federal government issued two circulars signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, directing all MDAs to desist from implementing any increase without the agency's input. Nta also said that the commission had prevented the government from losing over 400 billion naira annually through inspection and other activities that would have been abused, wasted, or misappropriated. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
It was a Euro-American trade in slaves by which 12.5 million Africans were captured from their indigenous homelands and transported via the Atlantic to Europe and the Americas. The transatlantic slave, also known as triangular trade, was the worst form of man's inhumanity to man and the most costly in human life of all long-distance global migrations. Hundreds of Africans chained tightly to plank beds in the belly of slave ships in horrific conditions were transported via the Atlantic and stripped of all human dignity on arrival in Europe and America. It is the greatest crime the Caucasians committed against the black race. It is impossible to discuss the transatlantic slave trade without a copious reference to impoverishment and underdevelopment of Africa and its peoples. The triangular trade left the continent in ruins. Western Spring Television identifies transatlantic slave trade as a watershed event in history.
Welcome back on Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. Now to the rest of our stories. The latest move by the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke to reposition the mining sector and ensure the revalidation of state mining licenses has generated several reactions. Olayinka Ali completes the story.
In his continuous bid to secure Russian state assets and stabilize the state economy, Governor Ademola Adeleke says he salvaged Osun mining licenses that would have been lost to alleged mismanagement by the previous administration. It is reported that Osun State has about 7 mining licenses across the solid mineral value chains. The spokesperson to Governor Ademola Adeleke, Malam Olawale Rashid, said that the licenses were almost sold off in the last days of the former Governor Adegboyega Oyetola's administration through what appeared like a deliberate refusal to revalidate the licenses by paying required fees to the federal mining licensing body. Malam Rashid hinted that Governor Adeleke has ramped up actions to reposition the sector and ensure the revalidation of the state mining licenses.
It's all about the effort of Governor Adeleke to reform and revive the mining sector. And this revival step has several legs. When His Excellency took over, what he did was to set up a solid mineral committee. The committee has done extensive work and the committee has submitted report. The committee has discovered a lot of shenanigans, a lot of corrupt practices, a lot of deceitful conduct on the part of those who manage the mining sector under former Governor Oyetola. And I want to commend Governor Adeleke, because in the statement we issued in Abuja, he was just laying out his vision of a new mining sector that will actually serve the people of Osun State. He was not attacking any personality. But the reality is that when you have things in your cupboard, you'll be scared. And what I want to say before I go further is that actually we have a mining solid mineral committee report that is coming up. The committee has submitted its report. The white paper is coming. A lot of corrupt practices were uncovered, and Osun lost billions of naira in unremitted revenue from the mining sector.
Reacting to the claim, media aide to the former Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, Mr. Ismail Omikpidon, described as untrue the allegations from the present administration. Mr. Omikpidon stated that contrary to the Governor Adeleke's claim, it was former Governor Oyetola who made sense of Osun's assets in the mining sector under the government's 7 project streams in its Osun Minerals Development Plan. He said but for Oyetola's administration's conscious efforts at developing the sector, Osun would have since lost all its 17 mining licenses.
The statement was actually in response to a claim by the governor of the state, making it look as if we never did anything as far as the mining sector is concerned, to the extent of alleging that we almost sold off the mining licenses. And I felt that was uncharitable, that was untrue, and a very wicked lie from the pit of the hell. As far as the mining sector is concerned, you can do your investigation. By the time we came in 2019, the state had almost lost, all the 17 mining licenses that it had.
The team lead, Urban Alert, Mr. Anthony Adejun, admonished the state government to have a robust mining and exploration roadmap so that all the titles can generate revenues.
Looking at the numbers of mineral titles, the mining lease, exploration license, and quarry lease owned by the state government within and outside Osun State, it's good to say that the state government has actually been running at loss. And in fact, the people of Osun State has been running at loss because they have the titles and there's nothing significant coming financially from these titles. So it's important for the Osun State government today to have a robust mining and exploration roadmap so that all these titles can bring about money, and money that will also, impact the lives of the people.
Meanwhile, gold mining operations started in the Ilesha West local government area of Osun State, Nigeria in the early 1950s. Olayinka Ali, Western Spring Television News.
On the foreign scene, Donald Trump was seen yesterday leaving a New York court where he pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal counts stemming from hush money paid to a porn star before the 2016 election. The 76-year-old Republican former president faces dozens of counts in the case, which threatens to upend the 2024 White House race. Trump turned himself in earlier for the court hearing held amidst tight security and a global media frenzy as Republican billionaire becomes the first American president in history to face criminal charges. The twice impeached Republican is the first sitting or former American president to be criminally indicted, a development that has propelled the United States into uncharted political waters. In the Middle East, Israeli police have attacked and arrested Palestinian worshippers in a violent raid on the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem at dawn. According to local officials, at least 400 Palestinians were arrested today and remain in Israeli custody. They are being held at a police station in Atarot in occupied East Jerusalem. According to reports, Israeli forces used excessive force, including stun grenades and tear gas, causing suffocation injuries to the worshippers and beatings with batons and rifles. The Palestinian Red Crescent reported there were 12 injuries, including 3 people who were transferred to hospital, adding that the Israeli forces prevented its medics from reaching Al-Aqsa. French President Emmanuel Macron and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen are set to arrive in China today for a 3-day state visit that will see them meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. President Macron will be accompanied by a delegation of more than 50 CEOs and meet with the French business community, but all eyes will be on how he and von der Leyen discuss the war in Ukraine with the Chinese leadership. China is officially neutral on the war, but has supported Russia economically and diplomatically in the face of Western sanctions. At the G20 summit in November, President Macron called for China to play a greater mediation role in the war, but Beijing has yet to advance its role beyond issuing a 12-point peace plan that has received a lukewarm response in Kiev and Western capitals. President Macron's trip is his first to China since the COVID-19 pandemic erupted in early 2020, when Beijing effectively shut its borders to travel. Now to some business stories. United States President Joe Biden has said artificial intelligence, AI, could be dangerous, but it remains to be seen how the technology will affect society. Speaking at the start of a meeting with science and technology advisors yesterday, President Biden said technology companies had a responsibility to ensure their products are safe before their release. The U.S. president said AI could help tackle challenges like disease and climate change, but that developers of the technology would also have to address potential risks to the society, economy, and national security. The president said the effects of social media on young people's mental health showed the harm new technologies can inflict if safeguards are not in place. President Biden's remarks come amidst growing debate about how to regulate AI, with some prominent voices calling for a pause on the development of a technology until safeguards can be put in place.
Today we're going to discuss the opportunities and the risks of artificial intelligence. AI can help deal with some very difficult challenges like disease and climate change, but we also have to address the potential risks to our society, to our economy, to our national security. Tech companies have a responsibility, in my view, to make sure their products are safe before making them public. Social media has already shown us the harm that powerful technologies can do without the right safeguards in place.
President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration has since 2016 reviewed plans to remove subsidy on fuel, but not much has been seen in implementing the proposition. However, last year, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said the removal would be implemented by June 2023, after which President Buhari would have completed his tenure in office. In this report, Tobi Sanusi chronicles the advent of subsidy in Nigeria.
The history of fuel subsidy in Nigeria can be traced back to the 1970s, when it was first introduced as a response to the oil price shock in 1973, owing to the fluctuating world oil market, after the members of the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries proclaimed an oil embargo. Fuel subsidies exist because the government contributes to reduce fuel price and fixes the price of gasoline for customers below the international price, using government resources to pay for the difference. Over the years, several attempts have been made by different government administrations to remove subsidy on fuel, but such attempts have always been greeted with strong opposition, especially from the labor unions. In year 2000, former President Olusegun Obasanjo increased fuel prices by 50% under his policy of ending subsidies on petroleum products, which is said cost government $2 billion annually, a decision that sparked protests across the country.
Anytime people become wealthy, if you don't fall back, we stop. If there's post stones here now, any of you will run away.
Fast forward to 2012, the then President Goodluck Jonathan increased fuel price from 65 naira to 141 naira in a bid to remove subsidies, but was forced to reduce it to 97 naira per litre following strike action by labor unions. Meanwhile, after President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office, he announced in 2016 that the federal government would no longer pay subsidy on oil, a decision that saw fuel price soar from 87 naira to 145 naira. In the same year, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo said the country saved 15 trillion naira monthly from non-payment of subsidy for the year, but many have argued that Nigeria still has infrastructure and economic deficit despite saving up. Subsidy payment has over the years been attributed to non-functionality of Nigeria's refineries, out of which 2 were sold to Aliko Dangote during the Musa Yar'Adua-led administration, a situation that makes the country import petroleum products. According to reports from the Federal Ministry of Finance in 2015, 10 trillion naira was spent on subsidy between 2006 and 2013, a trajectory that has since been questioned by economic stakeholders, civil society organizations, labor unions, among others. The argument surrounding the subsidy removal revolves around the level of its cost, which may in turn lead to government spending less on capital projects, reduction in distribution of resources to state government, and growing concerns that the elites are the main beneficiaries of subsidy. President Buhari had revealed plans to remove subsidy in 2022 as part of fiscal and petroleum sector reforms, but shelved the plan amidst fears of protest in the build-up to the previously held elections.
It was a decision that was taken as a collective, recognizing the fact that due to the lingering impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and also heightened inflation, that removal of the fuel subsidy at that time will have increased more burden on the citizen. And the president does not want to contemplate a situation where measures are taken that is further going to burden the citizens. So the decision was to extend the period from June 2022 to 18 months, beginning from January 2022. So in June 2023, we should be able to exit. The good thing is we hear a consistent message that everybody is saying this thing needs to go. It's not serving the majority of Nigerians. I listened to even some of the new leaders that are campaigning for the next round of leadership in the country that are saying they will get rid of it very, very quickly.
But just lately again, the federal government says it may begin gradual approval of petrol subsidy from this month.
We're also going to be exiting fuel subsidy by the middle of the year. So it will mean more revenue accruing to the Federation. Subsidy cost is a cost to the Federation. It eats up into the oil and gas revenue.
However, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have insisted that the removal would only be allowed provided the incoming administration of Bola Tinubu overhauls government refineries across the country. Meanwhile, the Labour Minister, Chris Ngigi, has said the federal government will make provision for palliatives following the subsidy removal to cushion its effect on the masses. When this will pan out is, however, yet unclear to poor Nigerians who are the first to bear the ripple effect of removal or non-removal. While many have thrown weight behind the subsidy removal, some marketers and groups in the downstream sector of the Nigerian petroleum industry have said fuel prices may hit 750 naira per litre going forward. For Western Spring Television, Toby Sanusi reporting.
Before we end the news, as a recap of our top stories. The Kaduna State government has confirmed that only 8 students were abducted along with other citizens when bandits stormed the Kachia local government area of the state. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to remove Udu Ari as the Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner ahead of a supplementary election. On the foreign scene, Donald Trump was seen yesterday leaving a New York court where he pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal counts stemming from hush money paid to a porn star before the 2016 election. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am Okwayemuni. Thanks for watching.